feel so vulnerable without a gun right now.
But, or power or state power. I mean, not, it doesn't have to literally mean a literal gun, but think about WikiLeaks. I mean, they have huge amounts of information. And if information really was power,
but it's
why?
Still alive right now.
But why? Hold on. But why is he been holed up in the Ecuadorian embassy in London for 5 years? If really information's power,
yeah.
Shouldn't he be able to go tap?
Russia, information isn't power. Information will get you killed in Russia.
Exactly.
Like I'm reading this Putin book. There's 3 pages dedicated to the assassinations he's been part of. Just reading people. Okay. 2009.
There you go.
Just journalists.
So this whole thing about information power is totally, in my opinion, it's totally misunderstood. I mean, it's completely misunderstood. Information, if you want to really understand it, in my opinion, information is a type of power. That's how you should understand it. And that's a good way of understanding it. It's a type of power. Yeah. Like if I have information about myself, that's a type of power I have over me. But other people, I mean, I could be a slave and realize something new about myself. And but it doesn't mean that I get out of slavery. Right. I'm still a slave. Yeah. But I have a type of power.
And you could notice something about yourself, not be proactive.
Not be proactive, lazy. My circumstances do not allow. I could be a talented musician.
You could tell yourself you're like anyone. Oh, I'm overweight, or like I'm sad all the time.
What about
just because you have that information doesn't mean
exactly. We'll turn it to a positive. What if I realize at 38 that I'm actually a genius pianist? Like I'm a Beethoven pianist. But I don't have the time, the space, the cultural allowances in order to fuel it because I'm a poor villager in southern, Egypt. Yeah, well, all that information.
Now, you know what? Now we're living in those times where you can probably make something out of that with YouTube, the internet.
Maybe.
But 20 years ago, that would have been useless.
But even then, again, going back to information is power. It's just a cliche that, again, is so overused that it's lost its meaning. It doesn't really mean what most people think it means. What it means is it's a type of power. It's a type of thing that can be very useful to you or to others, depending on the circumstances that you have,
You're right. It doesn't matter how many books I've read. It doesn't matter how well I know things. If there's a gun to my head, I'm just as powerful as the next person.
Bloke, yeah, exactly. Who has a gun to his head and knows nothing.
Yeah.
And knows nothing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. So, my worries, is economic destabilization due to corporatism and the way that corporations are taking more and more of a slice of our economy and then controlling it more because we have, this small planet we live on that's so interconnected. So the big boys really do have a bigger slice. Like back in the day, 100 years ago, if you were a small dude in a small village, you could be, for the most part, be left alone. Like, unless you lived in like a tyrannical governmental state, you could be for the most part left alone. The government's not really there. You got a local sheriff. Everyone's a local business. It's really hard for the government to manipulate the currency. I don't think so. That's what I'm saying. I don't think so. I think it would take grid. Again, I was going to say this. It takes a huge amount of effort to be a nobody anymore. Whereas 100 years ago,
I would do it. I'd throw a lot of misinformation out there about myself, flood them with chaos. My different face around different licenses and different names and different... and then they're like, oh, what the fuck? How are we going to go through all this? It's the same face. He's got blonde hair here. He's blue here. He's a circus clown there. And I'm like, just too much information to deal with.
But okay.
Flooded with information.
Before we started the podcast, we were both talking about Jordan Peterson, great thinker. Yeah. And there was analogy story he gave that hits perfectly with what you're saying. But I'm going to use his story in a different way. So, you're talking about if I wanted to make myself invisible, go off grid, I would give off lots of misinformation. Actually, I used to think like that, but I realized, especially after listening to that particular talk from Dr. Peterson, that that's the wrong way to go about it. So he was giving a talk about, I've watched so much of his stuff, I can't even remember. He got onto the story of camouflage, and he said why camouflage is often misunderstood. And he goes, so he was giving the story of some anthropologists who were studying camouflage in the Serengeti. So they were studying how lions, have camouflage and how zebras have camouflage. And what people think about
when the zebra thing.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Awesome.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
I know exactly.
And then I'll relate it back to what you said. So basically in this, Dr. Peterson was saying that, when lions, when you look at a lion, the reason that a lion is camouflaged and the way we generally and historically understand camouflage is that you blend into the background. All right. So a lion is camouflaged because it looks like the grass in the Serengeti. It's that beige, greyish, wavy. So when it's lying down from afar, it's hard to tell where's the lion and where's the grass. But when you think about a zebra is a horrible colour. It's black and white. White. It completely stands out. So how does a zebra actually camouflage? Well, the zebra's camouflage doesn't exist between it and the background. It's between it and other zebra. So what scientists discovered, is that when lions look into a pack of zebras or a herd of zebras, it's almost impossible for them to distinguish one zebra from the other. Now, what's the benefit of that, you might ask? Well, the lion doesn't know which zebra to chase. It doesn't know what to chase. Right? And that's why they move all together. And that's why birds do the same thing. They flock together. Fish in the sea, they flock together. Very hard. How do I target the meal I want to? Because you and I might think, well, I'll just sort of bite into the middle. But that's not how hunting works. So I think if I wanted to camouflage in society, I wouldn't try to disappear and I wouldn't try to give out lots of misinformation, because both of those would put up massive flags. All right?
How about if you're a celebrity, though?
I would blend. I would just blend. Be like the zebra. Just look and sound and act like everyone else. Because guess what?
Be unhappy.
Well,
is that it?
The image that you create. I mean, if you think about social media.
But I feel that social media is just a facade.
It is a facade. But, just talking on the point you were talking about, if I wanted to go off grid, look like everyone else. Because you know what? No one would look at you. And then you can do really whatever you want in life.
How much does the AFP look at Facebook and things like that?
It's a tool you use if you were wanting to conduct an investigation. But
you don't have any special ties with Mark Zuckerberg?
Nah, bro. See, this is
do
the
they
thing.
Despise you?
This is... Oh, man, I wouldn't be surprised if the spies do it. Just what came out of what Edward Snowden released and what the NSA do, I'm absolutely aghast. Like, I can't believe how, they tap into everything. I mean, they tap into everything. This is why people are telling me, the AFP this. I go, do you even understand the difference?
So, yeah, why is it that they don't have systems in place to prevent them from all that?
Like the NSA?
Yeah. Like the AFP have these, very systematic processes that they do in order to stop any type of corruption, right? Why doesn't the NSA have that?
Because the NSA is dealing with national security. But
are we in a sense?
No. Federal police are not. It's not really it's a law and order issue.
You deal with ANSTO, for instance, which is a nuclear facility.
It's on a different level, bro. Yeah. It's on a different level. And you can tell the way the government funds. So look at the way it funds ASIO versus the way it funds the AFP. ASIO gets more money, it's more secretive, and it deals with national security. ASIO doesn't deal with crime. ASIO's job is not to investigate crime and then prosecute criminals. That's AFP's job. All right? And our job is open. Our budget is open. Who are our biggest bosses? Like I told you, with the telephone intercepts, we have to report to government. There's an ombudsman. The ombudsman has the power to go through any record related to the telephone intercept. I mean, anything. So they can come to the AFP.
See, that's where I look at. Who's got the power? And with me, I relate power to knowledge.
Yeah.
And anyone that has information. The ombudsman, for instance.
We're going back, but who's
he referenced to?
He reports directly to government. So there are Senate estimates.
Is there any dude that has
carte blanche?
A dude that
there's no J. Edgar Hoover.
There's no one
No. Hold on. There's no J. Edgar Hoover.
No.
There's no one. for people to try to understand. There's
a lot
too
of
much.
for me.
I know, but it's better to be realistic about the way the world works and actually be scared about the things that are scary rather than to scare yourself.
Scary? What are you scared about?
I'll go back to what I was saying.
I'll tell them to be scared about automation.
Nah, man, automation's going to be fantastic. I'll tell you what I'm scared about. I'm scared about the changing cultural shift that is being perpetuated by who I believe are neo-Marxists. So people who effectively hold this sort of Marxist concept about the way the world works. They look at life in terms of oppressor and oppressed.
I think it's a phase, though. I think it's going to die out.
I don't think so at all, because it's getting more powerful, bro. If you look at the things that are now established social norms, 10 years ago would have been just insane. Like, it would have been insane 10 years ago.
Even racism 25 years ago, quite insane. How about that? Racism 25 years ago didn't really exist. Look at Delirious. Dude, that is the most...
Bro, I was watching...
Okay.
I was watching exactly that video. I was watching... Is Delirious the one where Eddie Murphy's in the red? Or is that Raw?
Yeah.
And remember how he was like, man, I don't believe in racism, man. I don't... You know, and it's like the early 80s. He's a black man. He's a black man. Yeah, but that was different. I mean, look... What he said was quite homophobic. What he said was quite homophobic, and he was reflecting an attitude of the day. But for Eddie Murphy as a black man in the early 80s of in America to go, I don't really believe racism is real. And today people are like, we're being oppressed, we're being killed. And then when you actually look into it, you find that it's an overreaction. Like, it is a true overreaction. Yeah. But the scary thing is that, and again, I'm very thankful for the information that Dr. Peterson provides, where he was saying how one of the precursors to a totalitarian state and to genocidal states is the declaration of victimization. Yeah. So if you go back to Stalin, you go back to the Hutus and Tutsis, you go back to Hitler. What people don't realize is that Hitler didn't say, hey, let's kill the Jews, we're more powerful. What did he say? The Jews are taking away our jobs. They've got all our money. They're the ones that are making our life hard. If we just get rid of them, life will be better. We're the victims. Imagine Hitler is living in a country where his ethnic and religious component is like 98%, Jews are like 1%. And he's blaming the 1%
for victimizing everyone.
Victimizing the 99%. When they had effectively no political power and effectively no social power. Sure, they were wealthy Jews, wealthy banking Jews, but look how easily they were wiped out. Look how easily the Jews were wiped out, which shows you the fraud, shows you the lies of the Nazis. Because if the Jews were so powerful, they would have pushed back. But they had nothing. And I'm scared we're in a society, not that we're going to replicate that. That was a unique moment in history. So what's
the worst that could happen now, apart from people saying Black Lives Matter, just everyone coming out as people coming out as females before their brains formed.
Yeah, demi boys and butch girls. And what I fear is that there's a society that will have a generation that will grow up with a mentality that exists in a victimization state. So basically, people are living in a way where they think not how can I, but how can't I? And that's a really dangerous thing for a society, because when you look at successful groups, and I go back to our own ethnic group, right? So for people who don't know, we're Coptic. So we're Egyptian Christian. And our heritage...
How presumptuous of you to identify me.
Well, I will presume. But in our culture as Egyptians, and from that ethnic religious minority, it's a very interesting thing, because I relate what's happening to who we are and our history. In that, in Egypt, we don't necessarily take an attitude of victimization. We recognize that we're fucked. We're getting killed, we're getting murdered, we're getting discriminated against. But what we do is, funnily enough, we take a very Jewish route, which is education. I need to educate myself.
I have been in contact with a lot of Egyptian elders.
Yeah.
A lot of them victimize themselves. Personally,
I think of personally. Yeah. However, if you look at our generation, right? We immigrated. And what's the open joke about Egyptians, like Copts, like us? Not police, cops, COPS. We're all the pharmacists. We're all the doctors. We're all the